Hey, this is TJ. How you doing? Today we're taking a look at the Keith McMillen Keyboard Pro 4 MPE awesomeness. Let's check it out. Well, right here is the Keyboard Pro 4, and before I get started on all the features and how it works and so forth, just want to mention a couple of accessories that I had gotten with it that you may also want. Right over here, this little box here, it's probably easier to show you the picture on the shipping box. That is the MIDI expander. It's a breakout box. And what that's for is if you want to use it with external gear, external hardware, you're definitely going to want to use that box. If you just want to use it with your computer, your laptop, you don't really need it, but it allows you to break it out to MIDI out. It also allows you to power it. It allows you to also connect it to your computer as well as being connected to external gear at the same time so that you can run the internal software that controls the Keith McMillen Keyboard Pro 4. Another thing I got, cool case. Definitely you want to travel with this. This case is definitely worth it. It is nice. All right, so what the heck is the Keyboard Pro 4? Well, if you're looking at this, you might have an idea. It is a MPE compatible controller. What is MPE? If you don't already know, MPE stands for MIDI Polyphonic Expression. And what that allows you to do is it allows you to get on individual keys different levels of expression. It allows you to have individual pitch bend per key. It allows you to have individual aftertouch per key. And it also allows you to have a additional control element, which is called the Y-axis, which is if you move your hand up and down on the key. So it gives you individually, on each finger that you play, the ability to control your sound source if it is MPE compatible. I'll talk a little bit later about MPE and how it works if you want to stay with that in the video. But for now, let's take a look at it. Now, what I've got going on here is I've got the Keyboard Pro software here. And over here, I've got Arturia's Pigments, which is an MPE compatible software. Really, really great. Works well with this. So we're going to talk a little bit about the software and how it works with this. First, though, I want to talk about the actual keyboard itself. There is no moving parts here. It is just simply a surface. The surface has just a little bit of give to it, so you can feel the aftertouch. But it really doesn't have any play feel to it. Okay, the keys themselves are slightly smaller than what you would find, say, on a synthesizer keyboard. And while it does have a 4-octave range, one oddity with it is that it doesn't have the high C here at the top. It doesn't repeat that. It only goes up from C to B. So that's a little bit of an oddity. Sometimes I found myself wanting to hit that high C. It's not there. No big deal, though. Up here, you have sliders, and these are assignable. Right now I have them assigned to pitch. So that's a global pitch, so every key will change on that. This is assigned to the octave. So you can assign the octave range of the keyboard, and these two are assigned to MIDI control commands, CC commands. And you can change that also in the software here. So that's pretty much it with it. It's very, very basic. There's no moving parts. It's built very, very well. It's got a metal casing. It's all metal. This thing seems like it's indestructible. So let's have a look at the editor here. Right here, got the Keyboard Pro editor. It is connected. Now, the way this works is you have the keyboard represented here. You can have two ranges. This is the lower range, and you can also have an upper range. You can split it up. So that's really cool. And then you have these presets here. Now on board the Pro 4, you have 4 presets that you can save on board. So if it's not connected to your computer, you can still take it to the gig and have those 4 onboard presets. However, if you have it hooked up to your computer, you can save a lot more. And you can use the user presets. I've created a few here. There are some factory ones that come here. And these are the ones that I already saved onto the Pro 4. Coming down here, this is the different axes of the keyboard. Here is the wiggle axis or the pitch bend. This is the Y axis, the slide, the up and down. You can hear a slight change in the filter with that. That's the way I have that set up. And the remaining is the Z axis, which is the aftertouch. And you can see up here in the screen that they're represented. All right, now down here, you can actually set the different modes for how they respond and at what level that they respond. You have the different modes. You can turn it off. You can have either absolute or relative. And the difference between absolute and relative is that when it's at an absolute range, it's where you touch it on the keyboard, it'll be absolutely there from the point of 0, say in the case of pitch bend. Relative means that it'll be relative to the point from 0, and then it'll return to 0 when you let go. And the same is true for CC commands, and as well as channel pressure. And they're all the same for these different ones here. The X-axis, the Y-axis, and the Z-axis. So you can assign that to whoever you want. You can assign it to whatever CC command that you want. I have it here assigned to 74, which is usually the standard for the filter on most synthesizers. And then you can set the amount of gain, so the amount of actual change that is there. Say if I change this to 2, as opposed to 0.5, now you're going to get a lot more wiggle. A lot. So I'll change that back. Now it's back at 0.5. So a much more reasonable amount for my particular playing style. And you can do the same here with the Y-axis as well as the Z-axis. You can also set a threshold for the change and its offset. Now you'll notice here for the Y-axis, I changed the offset to 64, so that's the middle of it. So it actually only starts at the middle level of the range of the CC command from 0 to 127. So that allows it to have not such a big effect. It won't be so wide-ranging. If I left that at 0, for example, you would hear a much larger effect. And it may or may not be desirable depending on your preset that you're working from. So I'm going to change that back because that's where I like it. And here you have the different types of selections for MPE. Now, the Keyboard Pro 4 will be set up for MPE mode, or you can set it up for disabling the MPE mode, and then it essentially becomes a polyphonic aftertouch single channel type of controller. And here, this is the number of channels in which it operates in MPE mode. And here you can select the velocity curves. Over here, you have the sliders and the pedals. These are user assignable, which is really, really great. So that means these sliders up here on the top of the keyboard. For the first slider zone, I have it set for global pitch bend. So that means they're all going to pitch bend at the same rate. I as opposed to individually. When you do the MPE version of it. Slider number 2 is the octave. So I have that set in the middle ground. And then I can assign these to, say, for example, CC notes. Now, usually I like to select ones that are not automatically or standardized assigned in the MIDI specification. So I'll set it for 20 and 21. Those ones are open. Now down here you can have your switch pedals. You can assign those, and your expression pedals. And there are outputs here on the keyboard Pro 4 for that. You have 2 of them. Lastly, we have an advanced page. And the advanced page allows for transpose, the bass octave. You can also set it for release velocity. Very, very cool. You can set the curve for that. And then the mapping assistant allows you to set the bass channel for global commands when you're using MPE mode. MPE uses a single channel. Usually it's channel 1 for global commands such as the global pitch bend. You can set the key threshold. So if you have, the ability to actually not touch it, it won't go. So that sets the key threshold for that. And then this is for the sliders. And it's the return mode. So how long it takes to return back to 0. And the sensitivity for that. For the pitch bend, same is true with the sliders. So the next thing I want to talk about is, what is MPE? Well, if you don't know, MPE, as I said before in the video, is MIDI polyphonic expression. It is a great new standard. It's becoming more and more popular. It allows for polyphonic expression, such as the keyboard Pro 4. There are other ones such as the Continuum. There are ones such as the Raleigh Seaboard. There's a new one coming out soon called the Osmos from Expressive E. That'll be out soon. So this is becoming very, very popular. It allows your synthesizers and other equipment to really get very expressive sounds rather than to being, just a static type of preset. But how does it work? Well, let's take a look here. Again, we have the editor here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the MPE on the editor. So I'm going to disable that. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to show you what this is here. This is a MIDI monitor. It's by a company called SoundLib. And when I play, it'll show right now in channel 1 that it's all coming through on the same channel. So all of that is coming through to the same channel. What that means, though, is that it can't be expressed in a polyphonic way. Only Aftertouch can potentially be expressed polyphonically that way. But if I change it to MPE mode, let's go back. And I'm going to clear this out. You're going to see a much different way in which it works. So I hit one note. Oh, hey, it started on 9. Channel 9 there. Hit some more notes. So you see that each note came through on its own channel, and it came through with its own channel information, its own controller information. What that allows to happen is it allows for the receiving device, the software or the hardware that you're using, to get a different set of control commands for each individual note. And then it allows for different levels of expression for each individual note based on the MIDI channel that it came in at. So the devices that have MPE mode will have the ability to have a lot more expression to them. All right, so let's take a look and see how this works with software. As before, I've been using Arturia's Pigments software. Excellent sounding synthesizer, soft synth, and it has a lot of abilities associated with it. One of the great ones is MPE. Now, you may not be familiar with the software, but it'll help you to take a look at it real quick to get an idea of how it works with MPE. So here I've selected MPE mode on, and you'll see in here Okay, it is enabled. Remember, it has 2 zones. If you want to use both zones, you can split up the keyboard. And what I've set here is that the slide CC, I'll explain that in a moment, is set to CC number 74. Well, what does that mean? That means, if you remember, the y-axis, which in this case they call slide, is set to 74. So when I move vertically on the key, it's going to send that message per key. In the case of Arturia's pigments, it routes that to a macro here. It routes it to macro 1, and I've set that for the y-axis. And now I can assign that macro 1 to all kinds of different things that I want within the synthesizer. Here I have assigned it to the FM modulation, the amount, the wavetable position, the frequency cutoff, the resonance of both of the filters that are within the synthesizer. So you can get a very high level of control, very high level of modulation matrix available. You know, it's only limited by your imagination and the software or the hardware that you're using. All right, so quick, let's just talk about pros and cons here. Pros, construction is really built very well. I'm very happy with that. The feel of the keyboard itself is actually really good. I'm surprised with that. I wasn't sure if I would like it, but I actually really do like the feel of the keyboard. The black keys, or I guess they're purple. The purple keys are a little thin, so sometimes they're a little difficult to grab right away. Obviously, it's missing that C key on the high end. That kind of throws me off a little bit sometimes, but it is what it is. The sliders are great. I really do like that. I think it's really well designed. Cons, or I guess wish lists, sometimes you can call them. I do wish it had a little bit of a display to tell you what preset that it's on, and or possibly some other parameters such as what the sliders are or something like that. That would be kind of nice. It doesn't work like other MPE controllers where you can actually, slide across it to get a full range of like ribbon type of effects, say for a pitch or for other types of effects. It doesn't have that. It does have the sliders over here, but the resolution isn't so great on those. But they are what they are, and they work pretty well, for what they do. So if you're just looking for some rough type changes there, they're fine, really. Other than that, I really do like it. I'm really happy that I've gotten it. I like that, it has this breakout box that's available. That's an additional accessory, as well as the case. The case is really nice. I would happily recommend this to anyone. So thanks so much for watching the video. If you like the video, you're going to have to share it and subscribe to this channel. Please do. I very much appreciate your support. Make sure you check out tjontheroad.com for more. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.